so first I'll just quickly tell you a bit about myself, okay? And then we'll get to know a little bit about you, how you got interested in photography, and then we will move ahead with our lesson today, which is in general the exposure in photography. And what do we mean by when we say exposure specifically in photography as a beginner in photographer, or even, you know, at like an advanced level, and how you can play with that using different settings in your camera. Okay, so Siri, tell me, what type of camera do you use? Do you use mobile as a camera, or do you use DSLR? Do you have a point and shoot camera? So give me a bit of background on that.
They used to take pictures of, but I usually just used a phone. And
so this is mine. This is a DSLR, which is a digital single reflex lens camera. Yeah. And this one would be the phone one, right? And then there will be the point and shoot ones, which you can just look at and shoot. And then they just give you a digital image, but you have like an auto setting on top of it. So these cameras over here, the DSLR cameras, give you more control. So you can access more control from over here or at the back of the camera over here. So this is like a manual control camera. Yeah. So now give me like a brief idea of the camera you use.
Sorry.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, awesome. That's a brilliant camera to start with. So have you already tried taking some shots from this camera so far? Bring it out of the bag. We will figure it out. We will just like in between, just have some fun, have a bit of a play as well. Can you just take it out for me? Can you see the dial at the top? Can you see there would be a setting which says AV setting at the top over there. Can you see that?
AV?
Yeah. You see the dial over there, and it will have an auto, it will have an no, at the top. So at the top over here, at the top over here.
No, wait, I can't really. There's this thing.
Yeah, exactly. So now, if you look at it, there will be a symbol which says capital A and a small V.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the aperture setting. So now when you use that particular setting on your camera, what it does is, it will allow you to control the aperture, and then rest of the settings, the camera will manage on its own. Okay, so just keep that in your head. We will come back to that information later. So that's how you control the aperture in the camera. One way of controlling the aperture in the camera. Okay, now aperture refers to the diaphragm within your camera lens and how big or small the opening is inside that lens. Does that make sense? Very simple. Okay, the smaller the opening, the smaller the window, lesser light coming in. Make sense?
Yeah.
Larger the opening, bigger the window, more light coming in. Okay? And how is it measured? Like you measure height in inches, right? You measure distance in kilometers or meters or some stuff like that. Okay, so how do you measure aperture? You measure it in f-stops. Okay, there is a lens in the camera, right? So that works like a window. So now imagine there is a window and there are curtains around the window, right? And if you close the curtains, there will be less light coming inside the camera. Okay, and if you open the curtain slightly more, there'll be a little more light coming inside the camera. And you completely open it, a lot of light coming inside the camera. Okay, does that make sense? Now, if I have to put it into simple words, what is it? It is aperture. So even when you, let me just see if you can see this. So if you really look inside this, can you see like a small circle inside the lens as well?
Yeah.
Can you see it? So now that circle inside, there are multiple plates inside like this in a circular form. So it can turn in and become really small, or it can really open up. So that's the window inside the lens. That's the aperture.